Hello, thank you for joining us. Welcome to our second Fusion Reactor Room stream. We're really happy to have you here. We've got some great stuff coming to you tonight. 3 interviews, all from the UK. We have Jet Gunner Refueled, we have One Summer Holiday, and we have Peraglees. I'm not going to be able to pronounce the whole name, so I'll leave that for a bit when the author's on. We're just queuing up our first interview with Joel from Jet Gunner. So whilst that's connecting, I will just do a little bit of an advert here for Click Team Professional Services. Not a lot of people know that we actually have professional services sort of publishing and porting team at Click Team. We can take your projects onto consoles or even just other platforms. We can do things like upscaling your work and bringing new graphics to an old project. We have a brilliant team who work on this, and we've got a custom runtime that we use in the back office that allows us to do really extra performance stuff, especially with console work. So I'm just going to run a little trailer now about that for a few minutes, and then we'll be back shortly with Joel. So, some of the amazing games there that have been ported or redeveloped or worked on through ClickTeam Professional Services. So, if you'd like to get in touch, go to service.clickteam.com, and you can open a ticket on our customer service portal there, and there's an option for ClickTeam Professional Services, and somebody will be back in touch with you as soon as possible. Without further ado, we're going to move on to our next feature, which is the interview with Joel, creator of Jet Gunner Refueled. So I'm just going to play the trailer for the game just before that. So now we're going to switch over and talk to Joel, who is joining me on Zoom.
Hello.
Hey, Joel.
Hello. How you doing?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Enjoying the summer weather for once.
Yes, it's been pretty hot here in the UK. Mm-hmm. So tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get into game development? How long have you been doing this?
Oh, very long time. I think I started off... Oh, actually, I'll start playing the game. That might be a good thing as well.
Yes, go ahead.
I started back when I was about, I don't know, 9 or 10 with... do you remember the old... I think it was Click and Play.
Yeah.
It was... I don't know why it's not making any sound. There we go.
There you go.
Let me just turn that down a bit. Is that okay?
A little bit further down would be good.
Oh, all right. It's not a problem. Is that better?
A little bit further. Maybe half that.
Hold on. I'll do it in the I think I know what it's doing. It's not desktop audio, so let's do it in the options.
Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
Perfect. Sorry about that.
It's all right. The joys of live stream.
Of course. So yeah, I started back when I was about 10 on Click and Play, if you remember that old software.
Yeah.
Doing Sonic fan games, because it was ClickTeam was the choice of Sonic fan games.
Yes,
then.
indeed.
And that's how I really just started into it all. Yeah. And it's grown ever since, really. And then I was on the... there was an old thing called the Daily Click.
Yep.
I think it's still around, actually.
It is indeed.
And I used to make games on that, and then the Flash thing came out. I'm not playing very well because I'm not concentrating.
That's fine. There's a reason I got you to play instead of me doing it, because... yeah.
Yeah, so... And I was making Flash... The Flash thing came out at one point. The exporter, and then I was on Newgrounds, and it just kind of kept snowballing, really.
Okay.
From that.
So, tell us about Jet Gunner Refueled then.
I made a game called Jet Gunner back in 2000. I'm gonna die. I can't believe that. Back in 2014. It was actually made on the Games Factory, the original Games Factory, the one in like '99.
Right.
And I kind of poured it over to like Fusion. It was more of like a test if you could do something in that whole program and actually make it commercial. And I thought about like last year how bad my first game ever was. So I thought, you know what, it seems to be the gaming trend now to like remaster or remake everything. So I thought I'll join in, and I've been remaking this. So
what sort of processes have you gone through to remaster it then? Has it been a complete redo of the graphics or sound, or?
Completely redone. Everything's redone. The original engine like I used, it's so old, it's rubbish. So I've just kind of remade the whole thing basically, from scratch. Yeah, so
Cool.
it was kind of interesting because you can look back at how, like 10 years ago, how much you've changed, and I'm gonna die, and developed, in for your career almost. Yeah.
So obviously this is a redo over, but what was the original inspiration for the game? There was obviously some old school 8-bit graphics going on here. Was that something that you sort of grew up with and you wanted to make your own homage to the scene?
Pretty much, yeah. This was back when like the 8-bit kind of like resonant. I can't say that word, but like was coming back with like Shovel Knight. Yeah, that's the word. Yeah, was coming back with like Shovel Knight and stuff.
Yeah.
And beforehand, I was making kind of similar games for Flash. I died. That's brilliant. But yeah, I was making like I was making those type of games, so I thought I'll try and make something commercial. This is when Steam Greenlight was out and about.
Right.
And somehow it passed that, and yeah, it was more like could I make a game back then, like, and sell it? Because back in 2014, it was kind of unheard of to like small indies to do something like that. So
yeah,
and that's how it kind of came to be. And plus, making 8-bit games is kind of quicker and easier because the graphics aren't too intense. They're
sure.
like kind of a bit laid back and less to them. You get what I mean?
I do, yes.
So yeah.
So obviously it's a remake, this one, so I'll ask you about that afterwards, but what overall, the whole process between the original and this version, what was the most enjoyable aspect of making this for you?
Really seeing how far you've come, because I played the original while I was remaking this just to remember basically, and I couldn't believe how bad it was. To be honest, I was proud of it at the time, like, but your skills do develop over time. So like 10 years later, it was kind of like, wow, you see how far you've come. So I think that was the most enjoyable aspect for me, really.
We'll actually be speaking to Rob later. He's been working on his project for over 13 years now, and
wow,
yeah, it's been quite a voyage, that one. But even in a single project, you come to halfway point and you think, do you know what, I can do better than this, because you've learned so much. But yeah, it's just one of those parts of development, really. I think everyone goes through that.
Yeah, I've never spent 13 years on a game, but I've spent a few years on some things, and I have a problem of never actually finishing my projects. So
you've obviously managed with this one. What kept you motivated to actually bring this one through to fruition?
It didn't take that long. I had most of the game completed in about 2 months, so just life events got in the way from releasing it earlier, I guess. And then the porting services, as you mentioned before, Click Team kind of asked me, and I was like, yeah, sure. So that's why it's a little bit longer delayed. And yeah,
I mean, talking about the porting services, big plug for Click Team Pro services here. But how did you find that process? Was it easy to work with us? And
yeah, well, it's ongoing currently because it's going through beta testing with some really, really great people who've been helping find out like little minor bugs or stuff that needs to be tweaked. And I've had no problem so far. To be honest, I've always had issues with some publishers, or even talking to them beforehand. Not loads, but you get the odd one. And this one's Click Team's been fantastic, to be honest. Like, I haven't had any problems so far, and I doubt I will, to be honest.
That's really good to hear. Thank you.
No worries.
So
I mean, I genuinely mean that as well. Like,
this wasn't a setup, folks. I was a genuine risky question there, because if we'd done a bad job, it could have been a bad answer. But no, it's all good. We're very proud of the services we offer there. So yeah, again, if anyone wants to get in touch, service.clickteam.com and open a ticket there. So back to your games. So what sort of challenges did you have to overcome?
Terrible.
Oh dear.
Challenges.
Yeah, what was the most interesting or difficult things you had to overcome when making the game?
I know it's going to sound really sad, but kind of boredom. That's my biggest problem making games. That sometimes I will get bored of the project.
Okay.
During development. So, yeah, it's like it's scope as well. Trying to keep the scope down.
Yeah, feature creep can be a real killer for projects. It's hard to keep control of that.
Yeah. So that was the biggest challenge. Like, there's more I could have done, but I thought, no, otherwise you just don't get the game finished.
Yeah.
And it was only meant to be kind of a small side project for me.
So
yeah.
Working on this, you've obviously worked on it way back when, and now you've coming back to it again. What changes to the product line features have helped you to do better this time, or have you found really useful?
You mean like the new stuff? Because 10 years ago it was completely different. Like, I don't.
Yeah,
think
so we've got like physics, and we've got the profiler for looking at what's.
Oh, the profiler is actually very useful. That in any project, that when that came out, that was really, really good to see like what events were causing the most problems or lag or something. To be honest, most of my games are kind of small, so I don't tend to have that much issues. But it did. It has in one project when I kept holding for a controller and it kept lagging quite bad, and I couldn't figure out why, and then I figured out why with the profiler. So that's like one of the most useful features. I mean, the original game was made in the Games Factory. So the biggest thing from when I jumped from that to like to Fusion, multimedia Fusion, the first one and the second one, was just having more than 16 globals was the best. It was so nice.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I think I haven't really. Most of my games are quite simple, so I don't tend to use quite a lot of the features.
Sure.
Like the inbuilt physics, because I don't. Sometimes stuff like I've died again. I'll jump to another level so we don't. But yeah, that sort of stuff can overcomplicate things for me personally when you're doing 8-bit games.
Yeah.
But the profile is definitely the one of the most handiest thing I've update. I can't remember when that came out. It was a while back now, but yeah.
It's a couple of years now. I forget. Maybe 2018. Something like that. Yeah, it's a while.
7 years ago now.
Oh, scary, isn't it? I'll actually be doing a feature on the profiler and how to use it in an upcoming stream in a couple of months. I think it's a really useful tool for everyone to get to know. So yeah, that'd be good to cover. So just a note for anyone watching, we are having a bit of lag capturing the Zoom call here. The game is a lot more fluid than this, as you saw in the trailer, but you get the gist.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's all right. Zoom is a difficult customer, that one. Anyway, so
hope it's not too laggy.
No, it's probably about half rate.
Right.
Yeah, it's good. So. You've obviously got this one coming out now. Do you have any plans for a sequel?
No. I've never really made sequels before, so I wouldn't. I think I'd rather do something new. That's kind of been my thing. I've got something that's like the NES game Shatterhand. Yeah. That some people might know. I have so many unfinished projects that I'm hoping to finish in the next year or two. So I have like a Mega Man clone and my Mega Drive style game, Gun and Bolt Gun. So I'm trying to hopefully get through that kind of stuff, all the half-baked projects that I've made. So I think sequel is definitely going to be last on the list.
Okay. Do you want to talk about your Ludum Dare? You won Ludum Dare, didn't you?
Yeah, this is third time now. So
Abyss Volta, would you like to show that now?
I can indeed, yeah. Let me just... I'll leave that on while I just open up the... I have to play it on the keyboard, so I apologise if... get to see my cool desktop now. Is it not let me There we go. 1 second while I open up. Luckily for me, I've actually organized my folders for once, so I can find it.
And we can also show Shattered Hands if you want to later on. We'll see what time.
Yeah, I haven't. The name I've called is Raw Fist currently. That's the name I've called it so
apologies.
far. But
Bad notes
might
here.
be. Yeah, I can't call it Shattered Hand, obviously.
No.
But let me just.
Oh, I hear something.
I'm gonna have to play this with my mouse and keyboard, so I didn't have time to put controller support in. But here we go. Hopefully, I might be able to play a little bit better on this. It's not as difficult. But yeah, I made this in three days. So, and to be honest, I wouldn't be able to make something like this if it wasn't for Fusion, because it's so quick and easy to use. Especially like creating levels with the level editor and all that, and it's just so quick and easy. It's great. Not saying you can't do like more complex things with it, but for game jams, it's like my second partner almost, like my.
So do you use the frame editor to build up your levels, or do you have an engine yourself?
I use the frame editor.
Okay.
Because to be honest, it's robust enough for like kind of these style games that you don't really need to have your own engine. So yeah, I've been using it since I was like 10 with like click and play, and the same like event like editor and all that's kind of been the same throughout all iterations.
Yeah.
Just with extra features each time and more powerful like kind of tools. Like when fast loops originally was like an extension that you had to use, and now it's all inbuilt and it's great. So,
yeah, I was opening an old project the other day, and the fast loop object came up, and I was, oh gosh, I've forgotten all that.
Let me just turn that down real quick.
Yeah, that was getting a bit noisy there. So what was the actual theme for this Ludum Dare?
It was depths.
Okay.
There we go. Hopefully that is a bit better.
Yeah, that's much better.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
It was the theme was depths, so I decided to do something like getting out of the depths instead of going into the depths or mining, something a little bit different. So and I always default to like running guns. It seems like so. That was my kind of thing to do.
What was the hardest thing about making this one with such a tight deadline?
I don't know really. I think to be honest, this was the first jam game I did that I had no issues. Everything kind of flowed fine. It was no real big bugs or problems to solve. It was just quite chill, to be honest. I did like drink 15 cups of coffee, so I think
that's a
the
lot of
hardest
coffee.
thing was recovering after the lack of sleep and my poor bowels. I'm sorry, that's too much.
It's all good. Yeah, I've only ever done the one game jam that was in Cambridge, and it was actually in person. And there was a lot of pressure, but it was good fun. But I obviously used Fusion for that, and it was great for making that in such a rapid thing. And I love the way that Fusion, it flips the whole programming golden rules on their heads. You know, you're supposed to traditionally always build up the engine and the mechanics and everything first, and then make it look cool. But it just brings it completely the other way around, and it's much more accessible that way.
Yeah, I mean, like I start off with like the engine. So I start off with the engine, and like it's all like kind of blue blocks and like a block for the character, and then I add the graphics in. Mm-hmm. But it's really quick to add the graphics in, especially at like this kind of low resolution.
Yeah.
Because this is like 256 by 144, so it's really easy just to like make 8-bit graphics.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I default them for game jams as well, because I'm not spending so much time doing that kind of stuff.
And do you use any external tools for the graphics? I know there's quite a few nice ones out there for this low-res stuff.
I do, and it's MS Paint. So,
oh, wow, okay. Wasn't expecting
old
that.
School. MS, like the old Vista one, not the new one, the old school one. The reason I use it is just because, I mean, I've got other tools, so like M uses that Ace Bright, and I've got GIMP as well, but I tend to use quite a bulk of it is MS Paint because it tends not to overcomplicate things if you're doing 8-bit. If I'm doing something that's not 8-bit, then I'll probably jump onto an actual like graphic software, but for 8-bit stuff, if I jump into that, I tend to kind of like make it look not 8-bit and too shiny and too clean. So yeah, I know it sounds really sad, but MS Paint.
No, I mean, if it works for you, it works for you. It's all good. So, are there any hidden tricks or features that you developed just in this game for the first time, or?
Yeah, the scrolling. It was the first time I did something where you land like that and the camera scrolls up when you land.
Okay.
That was the first time I've done something like that, and plus respawning like that was the first time.
Okay.
But nothing complicated, because I think for game jams you don't want to make things complicated.
No, you get too in the weeds then, and you end up with nothing to show at the end. It's
yeah, you can spend days on trying to.
Yeah.
So I kept it. That's how I like kind of do my game jams, especially Lundare. So I'll just kind of go to what I'm comfortable at making, but try and make a little twist on it, or try and make it bigger or better than my previous one, or something like that. I'll try and
Well, that's a very cool looking game, and I'm sensing a bit of a theme in your style. Would you like to show your final game now, which I've rudely forgotten the name of once again? I'm not going to call it Shattered Hand now.
I mean, I can show off running Vault Gun as well if you want, but it has no music in it. Because I think that won't be 8-bit, so that might be actually a little bit more cooler to see.
Okay.
Let me find that real quick, where you can stare at Sonic.
Were you a big Sonic fan back in the day then?
Oh, I still am. I had a Mega Drive for Christmas in like '93, '94, so I'm an old Sonic fanboy.
I remember going to Sega World in London, and
I'm very jealous.
It was sad it's gone now, but yeah, they had some really, really cool exclusive Sonic stuff there. It was a lot of fun.
Let me just... It'll pop back and resize. There we go. Oh, that's going to be loud, I think. As I don't have the music. So let me just turn that down manually real quick in the mixer. Hopefully that should have worked.
I don't hear any sound now, so... there we are, yeah.
There we go. Sorry, I forgot I've got the controller, so controller works on this now. I obviously haven't made the music, so it's just all explosions.
Sure.
Yeah, the Sega London. Unfortunately, I lived the other side of the country, so I don't visit London or back then. So I never got the chance to go, unfortunately. But it did look really cool in all the TV ads I remember seeing back then. So, yeah.
Oh dear, Zoom is about grumbling at us here.
Oh no.
Not to worry. We've got about 10 minutes left.
I haven't used Zoom since the lockdown days, so, and I remember not liking Zoom back then, so.
It has its moments, let's put it that way.
So this is more Mega Drive style, and I've actually made the engine so it works. So like the limitations of the Mega Drive or Genesis, Sega Genesis,
right,
is actually shown on this as well. So like the parallax is like the background that scrolls like how it would on a Mega Drive, and all of this. Yeah, this is like my passion game, but it's just having the time to make it. Because it being 16-bit and a lot more to it takes a lot more time. So, but hopefully one day soon this will come out.
How much have you actually got left to do on this one then?
The entire engine's complete, and I've made 2 full levels, but then and I had planned like 8 levels, each with like three parts to them. So there's quite a bit, but like the main engine stuff's all done, and quite a lot of the graphics are already kind of done, that sort of thing. So yeah, it's just like because it's 16-bit and it's got more graphics to make. I can't explain it. It's got more to it. It just takes a little longer.
Sure. And do you create this out of tile sets like they would have been done back in the console days?
Yes. So the actual like the levels, all themselves, all the when I use the frame editor, all the like the graphics are like done in chunks.
Right.
So it's pretty much like how the original Sonic games were made.
Yes, indeed.
And yeah, so it's actually quite. I think it's over too much like the Mega Drive way I've done, but I feel like if you're trying to imitate something, you know, you've got to try and do it pretty well. So yeah.
For sure. We've got Peraglees coming up later, and that's another real homage back to the old arcade style. So enjoy watching that. But yeah, was there anything particularly difficult about this one, or was this another smooth project for you?
It's currently quite smooth. I think there was a few issues with getting the graphics right. But I've never had any issues with the engine or like Fusion itself, to be honest. You get the odd like problem with a bug where you can't figure out why, and it's usually something stupid that you've done. But yeah, no, I've never. I think this one's more like just trying to get the gameplay and the graphics down correctly.
Yeah.
Than actually anything engine-wise. Yeah, maybe some of the physics I had to work on, that was kind of complicated, but other than that, not too much. It's gonna. No, I didn't. I fixed that.
Well, we have a few minutes left. Would you like to show your other game quickly, or would you like to call it there?
I can. Well, it might take me a while to go and get it back up, so.
Okay, I'll tell you what, let's have you back another time to show that one then.
Perfect. I can show it when it's a little bit more complete as well.
Cool. So we'll put links up to all of this stuff for people to take a look after the stream. And yeah, with that, thank you very much. I hope it was fun for you. I know it's your first time doing anything like this, so... Yeah,
it was. I'm terrible at playing on my own game while talking, so my apologies.
It's all good. You did a lot better than I would have done. Well, thank you again, and...
no worries. Thanks for having me on.
No worries at all. Thanks a lot.
No worries. Bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, we're still connected here on Zoom. Let me just end that, because that's very confusing in my ear. Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Joel, for coming on. That was great. And... yeah, really good fun, those games. I had good fun playing those. We're going to go now to our second interview, and we're going to go to... let me get this up, because I fail to pronounce this one every time. Dave, D-Pad for the win, who has created Ye Fenny originally, but we're going to be talking mostly about Peraglees, the Ooloufian resistance. So let me just play a trailer for that, and then we'll get straight into the interview.
The Fennyverse is under brutal peril! Hostile! Peraglees to Ooloufian resistance.
So we've got Dave from DPAD for the win on our next interview now, and he's going to talk about his new game, Peraglees, I hope I'm saying this right, Ooloufian resistance. Is that correct?
Yeah. Peraglees to Ooloufian resistance.
Ooloufian, okay. So tell us a little bit about yourself, first of all.
Right, so like Simon said, my name's Dave Jones. Formed DPAD for the win back in 2003. Been a games developer since 1995, on and off, making games with Click and Play, one of Click Team's older products. And yeah, it's just all started from there, really. Just seeing what the applications could do and what I can do in the applications as well. And yeah, it's become a really big hobby of mine, and turned it into a business, and yeah, just having fun with it, really.
Cool, good to hear. So I'll start these things by asking what inspired the game. So obviously you've got a previous game that this is in the same universe of. So tell us a little bit about Ifeni, first of all.
Yeah, so Yifeni, we started hanging out in this like little field in our hometown called Flint, and we were just hanging out there, and we started making up characters and stuff as we were hanging around by this lake and in this field. And me and my friend Nick, who actually does the music, some of the music for Peraglees and G-Fenny as well. We were just in his house one day, and we just decided, like, hey, we've got all these characters, we've got a lot of this backstory. Why don't we turn this into like a game? And we wanted to do it like kind of a Sega CD style game where you had these cheesy FMVs. So we got a cheap green screen, and we got together some costumes and stuff, and yeah, we just had a lot of fun with it, and made that was our first commercial game, and we made this like well, it was G-Fenny, so that's like the first planet in the Fennyverse, but we've just expanded it now, and there's multiple different planets and lots of different places you can go. But yeah, it was a crazy game.
I say this in the most affectionate way possible. It was just bonkers, but I loved it. It was just frenetic and mad and brilliant. I really enjoyed the game.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you. It's kind of my baby, Yifeni. I've got a soft spot for it because it was a time where me and my mates were having a lot of fun together, like bringing up making these concepts and all these different characters with weird out of this world personalities. So, yeah.
Well, it's definitely worth checking out. Where can people find that these days?
Funny, it's on Steam. It is, so
Right.
you can get it on Steam, and later down the line, I know this is nothing to do with Peraglees, but we're actually going to be remastering that game. So
Okay.
we're gonna be remaking it from scratch, probably using the Peraglees engine, to be honest.
Okay. So let's talk a bit about Peraglees now then. I absolutely love the aesthetic. I mean, it's a proper homage to arcade games back from the day. I mean, even to the point where you've emulated the old arcade ROM testing screen. And for our younger viewers, you probably won't have seen that. Old arcade machines, when they booted up, because they were so temperamental, they had all these checks that appeared up on the screen and let the arcade operator know that the thing was actually working properly. So I was quite chuckle there seeing you including that in here. But it's one thing to sort of do like a retro style game, but I really felt like you totally captured that arcade aesthetic. It was just brilliant. So what inspired you to make it that way? Obviously you've come from Yifeni, but what made you go so hard into the old retro arcade feel for this one?
So It all started with a game that me and my brother received as a present one day after school. It was called Mercs by Capcom, and that quickly became one of my favorite games. You know, I'd play it. There was 2 modes. There was arcade mode and original mode, and I just played it so much. It was so much fun, but I was disappointed in the fact that I actually found the Mercs arcade machine in obviously the arcade.
Yeah.
But that was a free-player game, and I always wondered why the Sega Mega Drive version was only single-player. But you know, obviously they included original mode to you know, add to the game, probably because it didn't have co-op. But yeah, no, Mercs is probably the biggest impact what this game has had, to be fair.
Okay. Well, start her up and let's have a look at some of the gameplay here.
Okay, so 2-player. I made sure it was 2-player. Got multiple different difficulties. So just for this stream, we'll go on normal.
Yeah, I had to play on casual because I'm not very good at games. So.
Once you complete the game, you've got a cheat shop where you can buy cheats. So you can just modify the game with these cheats here. It's a pretty fun thing.
Cool.
And then we just go on start game. And then once you've completed levels, you can unlock them. So we'll just start off on the first one here. And this is this arcade boot up screen, what you were talking about.
I love this.
Yeah, so this is just our old arcade machines used to boot.
Yeah.
And I love this type of stuff.
Nice touch.
And then we roll into the first cutscene here. And it just gives you a little bit of a story of what's going on. So this is the main dude you play as, Chaotic Fury. And Dexter there, that is actually, well, was my dog. Unfortunately, he passed away, so I thought I'd put him in the game.
Immortalized.
Yeah, definitely. And the barks you hear and all the growls, they're actually his growls.
That's cool.
Yeah. So after this cutscene, we get, well, before every level, you get a brief. Just tells you what's going on. So Whiplin's goblins, taking control of Peraglees and awoken Suffragon the pig dragon. And then, yep, we just go into it. And then you can run around, and this stuff here, what I'm shooting now, this is Orient. So this is the in-game currency, which you can buy the cheats with. And when the new DLC comes, also, you can purchase extras in the extra shop as well. And because I'm the developer, I've got full power and everything at the moment, but right. You can go around, collect items, go on vehicles. There's 7 different vehicles in the game.
Yeah, I really like the vehicle system. That made a nice fun element to the game.
Yeah. This motorbike I'm on now, this is my motorbike in real life as well.
Right. A lot of real life inspiration for you then.
Oh yeah, definitely, for sure. You know, it's things that I pick up like when I'm going on walks and stuff, which give me a lot of inspiration.
It took me far too long to work out you could stand on those platforms and blast away like that.
Oh yeah. You can actually you can roll onto them as well, so I'll show that in a minute without actually dealing damage to them.
Okay.
Say like you've got a bunch of enemies here now, and you're like, oh wow, what's going on here? You can just roll onto him like that, and then just take them out pretty easy.
It's another thing I noticed about it is that really the old arcade games, they didn't shy away from giving you like big, massive power-ups and like, you know, multiple bullets and flamethrowers and things like that. And you've really captured that big weapon feel. And I think that's what a lot of people miss when they try and do arcades retro stuff. Just how quickly you can get those power-ups. And yeah, it's a nice touch.
Thank you. Yeah, it was really important to me to make it feel like an arcade game from the late 80s, early 90s. It's the stuff I grew up with, you see.
Yeah.
So we were a Sega household, and these are the type of games I used to play and enjoy. So we're up here now to our first boss.
So how long should he take you to kill? Because it took me about 5 minutes. I wasn't very good on this one.
Yeah, he won't take long. I mean, I've got infinite mega bombs, so
Fair
I
enough,
could
that'd do it.
I could just spam him, and I can, you know, I've got the homing missile launcher here, so he shouldn't take too long. But you can roll as well and dodge his attacks. Other bosses as well on land, you can place mines, and you know, they cause catastrophic damage.
That's the movement of that boss there, the multiple segmented body. That's quite a classic arcade graphical technique there. How did you achieve that in Fusion?
Yeah, so it's just basically dividing you know, the X and Y position. And that's it. It's just like you're dividing the X and Y position, and it's you know, just following it basically.
And it seems like you've got it following a trail that the first object sets. Are you storing like a history of points along the path it's travelled for the later objects to then follow, or how have you achieved that?
No, again, it's literally just, so I've got 8 different segments.
Yeah.
And each segment follows the segment above it, if you get me, with the X and Y position.
So it's just one of those magic things that Fusion makes easy in that case, then, isn't it?
Definitely 100%. Yeah. I mean, if I weren't developing this game on Fusion, like, this has took me 3.5 years to get where it is now.
Yeah.
It probably would have took me about 8 years with something else. For sure.
Well, it's the beauty of Fusion. It lets you develop much more sort of graphical top-down approach and build the mechanisms on later. That's a good way of working. It's why I love the tool so much, and it's obviously I know you've really benefited from that yourself from talking to you previously.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, Fusion's just the, if you want to make a 2D game, Fusion is the way to go, because you can concept something, just an idea in your head. You can concept that within about 20 minutes, and then just get the idea down, and then yeah, go from there. You can focus on the artwork and other stuff before programming. Really, you know, you can just use the event editor, just to do a few basic commands, and yeah, away you go. So like this homing missile launcher here, this was I think just 2 lines of code in the event editor. So it's using the ball movement, and what it's saying is pick the closest qualifier, which I think I selected the truck qualifier as the enemies.
Right.
And yeah, I've just told Fusion to find the closest one, and it works really good and it's effective.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like a much more complicated mechanism. It's again one of those cool things that Fusion just lets you use those built-ins, or make your own, of course. But yeah, it's working well here.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
The graphics, have you drawn them all by hand, or are they part 3D modeled, or how's that happened?
Yeah, so the goblins, we did make another game. Well, it was in the prototype stage, E22, and we were focusing more, less on pixel art graphics, and more on just capturing everything via green screen and blue screen. So the goblins here are actually me on a green screen, and then right. I've like sized them down in Photoshop, color reduced them, done a bit of touch-up work. So yeah, that's actually me in a goblin suit.
That is quite an awesome little tidbit there.
Yeah, and then like the other graphics, like trees, the trucks, everything like that, all hand drawn.
And your dog companion there, what's the mechanism there? Does it actually do things more in the game? I only played a little bit in the first area, and it just followed you around. Does that add extra power or capabilities to your character, or is it just companion
Yeah.
character?
Yeah, so he's got a timer, which is just an alterable value, and
Yeah.
once that reaches 100, he will start biting goblins. But if you get hurt by a bullet, go for him, and
Oh,
like
right.
chuck him off the screen there.
Okay.
Once you're down, well, lower than 25% health as well, if there's a health item near, he'll actually go run at the health item, and then bring it back to you.
Sure. That's a cool mechanic. I like that.
Yeah.
So tell me what the most enjoyable thing about making this game has been for you.
Just making a game what I always wanted on like the Sega Mega Drive. It's this is the type of game I always wanted to play as like some out of worldly character like Chaotix. He's 80% human, but he's also 20% wolf. That's the Ooloufian species, like a little bit of lore behind it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's all of it's been amazing, really. Like the experience of Fusion, seeing the game go from prototype stage, coming out of early access, working with other people on the game as well. Because I don't do the music myself. That's by two of my very good friends. First one is Glyn Humphreys. I actually gave him the nickname the Axeman Savage because he can rip on a guitar, man. He can. It's unreal. And this is the music you're hearing now. This is what he's done. And the way he actually makes the music for this game is a software-based solution of the Sega Mega Drive sound chip, which is the YM2612, and it had another one, a PSG called the SN74. So he uses them chips within his software, and then he just produces unreal music.
I was going to say it's got a proper old school arcade vibe to it. It's really authentic sounding, and that's the reason why. Then, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And then Dives, which is Nick. Dives is his actual music company, his band, should we say, or something like that. But he also does the more melodic type of tunes, but he uses the same techniques as what Glyn uses.
Right. Yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah, and just going back to the artwork as well, I done the majority of the artwork for the levels and stuff, but we actually done a Kickstarter for Peraglees, which was successful. I think we got 105% of our goal, and that was to bring on a friend of mine called Blue Sky Wolf 09, and she does a lot of VR chat stuff, like VR chat avatars. But I did say to her, I said, look, can you do pixel art, like enemies, level art, and stuff like that? And she was like, yeah, for sure. So the sprite you actually see of Chaotix there, she actually done that of the main player. And we done that as a bit of a test and just getting to know her techniques and stuff. Done the Kickstarter, and then, yeah, she focused on, I think, level 5, 6, 7, and 9. While I was still developing the engine.
Right.
So big props to all of them people for all their help.
Yeah, you've also got a cool team there. Did you find it easy working with Fusion as a team?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, once I've like threw in, the paths of the music files, it's so easy to update because I can literally go into. I'm old school. I still use Cool Edit Pro. I could just go into Cool Edit Pro, just get the updated OST, and then just drag that in, and it's as easy as that. Yeah, into Fusion, super simple.
That's a name I haven't heard for a while. Cool Edit Pro.
Oh my god, yeah, I still use it. It's like 21 years old, and it still works on Windows 10, and it's amazing.
Yeah, it's a good tool, that one. So I always ask everyone, what was the most interesting and/or difficult challenge you overcame when making this?
I would probably say, like I said to you before, Simon, we did. So Peraglees has been made twice. So I made a version which was really old school, as in the controls were old school. And it was well received, but a lot of people kept saying, like, the controls are really hard. It's hard to aim. So I took a look at the game and I thought, look, I can do better in this and I can make the controls better. So yeah, I just went back, scrapped all of the code and rewrote it from scratch. And yeah, that was the biggest challenge, just getting people's feedback and saying, look, what we're playing right now is cool, but you need to do something about the controls. And I was like, right, yeah, just got to start again then.
I mean, you won't be the first person and you're not the last to refactor your code and even do a full rewrite, but it's obviously paid off for you here. What would you tell? I mean, you told me earlier your younger self, you bought a magazine in your newsagents. Was it Click and Create on it?
Click and Play it was.
Click and Play. What would you tell your younger self in that shop buying that magazine now, looking at it saying you can make great games in 5 minutes?
I would just say focus on it 1,000%. Just put 1,000% into it, because back when I was younger, like I used Click and Play a lot, like loads, but I never really got into making anything big. And then so I would just say to myself, dude, like, you want to do this when you're older, you want to do this as a career, so just focus a little bit more on it.
Fair enough. And is that something you've been able to actually achieve now, this being your career?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, so I was involved in a bike crash, and I couldn't really work for a long time. So yeah, that's why I thought, right, okay, let's get into this and let's be serious about it. So yeah, that's how I got into it properly again, was through that bike crash, and I took 10 years off work to focus on games development.
That's very cool. I mean, obviously what a lot of people aspire to do, and I know you obviously love Fusion and I do too, but it really is one of those things that even for somebody who's more artistically gifted, it still gives you that pathway into this industry. And really, it's just your imagination taking it forwards. And well, here we are looking at this game that, back when you were buying that magazine, I don't suppose you thought you'd be recreating and improving on your favorite Sega Mega Drive game.
Oh no, I mean, I tell you where I heard of Click and Play before that as well, but I didn't realize what it was. It was from some dude on a shareware disc. He made like a Pong game, and it said made with Click and Play. And I was always like, what is even that like, Yeah. But no, I wouldn't have thought back then I'd be here now making something like this.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Well, I mean, my story was similar. I actually started out with Amos Pro, which was made before any of the Click Team products. And yeah, they were sort of as a geek to the core, they were my idols, who made these things, and now I've ended up working for them. So, these things can take you on amazing paths you never believed could happen. It's it's a cool thing.
It's amazing. To be honest, like, since the Games Factory, like, I've done a bit of research on Click Team, and it's such an amazing company. Like, the products they've developed over the years, it just lets people like me, produce these type of ideas. Like, I don't have to think about coding too much. I mean, you can code on Fusion. You can do some complex stuff on it if you really want to. But, if you want to just get into it and make something basic, like you could make a basic Pac-Man game in about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
That's what's so good and versatile about Click Team Fusion.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things I'd recommend to anyone to at least try out. There's been a lot of development, obviously, since those early tools. What would you say are, is your favorite or your favorite new features that have been added to the software over the years? What's been the...
I'd probably say like editable shaders, because you can get a shader, and anyone in the community can make a shader for anything, but you can just edit the values on the fly in your engine. So you could assign it to an alterable value. Let's just say, I don't know, like a water effect, and you can make it shimmer, or
I
like
noticed
lava
some
effects.
ripples with the mega bombs, mega mines, whatever they are there.
Yeah, and that's all done with shaders. So I'd say shaders definitely for sure.
Okay.
Layers, like you didn't have layers in Click and Play,
No.
and you know it made it a little bit challenging back in them days, but it was the first version of the software.
Sure.
So layers are amazing. Just there's way too many features to actually.
Yeah, it's a hard question. There's been a lot.
Yeah.
Are there any features that have vanished over the years that you miss? It was not something I used very often, but an earlier version, I think it was Multimedia Fusion 1.5 had it in. It was a tweening tool in the image editor, so you could actually create tweened animations to morph between objects.
Oh,
I
wow.
spent many hours playing with that. I didn't really use it in my games, which is maybe why it's been removed from the tool. But was there anything you miss from the older days?
Well, it's a bit. I'm gonna say it's probably gonna sound a little bit silly, but Windows 98 support, because I do plan on backporting this game to Windows 98 at some point. But that's probably about it, to be honest, Simon. Yeah.
Fair enough. So,
I mean, you can't expect Windows 98 support in this day and age, but
no, I
you know.
suppose not. It's just a few years. Yeah. So, what comes next after this? Have you got any plans for the future?
Yeah. So we've released the game now. It came out of early access, but we've still got a long road ahead with this game. So we've got original mode, and that's going to be an extra 45 levels. We've got crisis mode, which I'm developing at the moment, and that allows you to save Chaotix's friends. And once you've saved them, they will become NPCs in original mode. So if you play original mode without doing crisis mode, it's going to be a lot harder because you won't have these NPCs to help you. But once you've unlocked them and saved them, they'll be in levels and they'll help you do quests and fight bosses and stuff. So
that's very cool. I like that.
And then we've got survival mode, and then we've got boss rush mode. But that's probably going to come last, that one.
Mm-hmm. And beyond that, into the future, are you planning more expansions to this universe, or do you think you'll leave it here?
Well, we're gonna do Ye Fenny, and it's gonna be a remaster, so we're gonna call it Ye Fenny Ye Mastered.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna be doing that. I don't really want to change it too much. Probably just get the gameplay from this engine, tweak it, modify it, and adapt it to Ye Fenny.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a couple of games I want to make. Something like Twin Cobra, if you've ever heard of that one.
I have, yeah.
Yeah, so I'd like to do a Twin Cobra style shooter. Again, Ye Fenny 2, that never got past the prototype stage. There is a playable prototype, but yeah, maybe we can pick that back up and see what we can do with that. And we have got another game on Steam called Commando for the War Dogs. Still in early access. Development I haven't done too much development on that at the moment because I'm focusing on this, but I'd love to get that out of early access as well.
Do you have a timescale on that one?
Oof.
How long's a piece of string, eh?
Yeah, probably end of 2026, I'd say, for that one.
Okay. And so I assume people, if they just type in DPADFTW, they can find you on Steam. Are you on any other platforms like Itch?
Yeah, so I did prepare this, Simon. So I'm on Ko-Fi here, and you can get all the various bits and pieces with Peraglees. So you've got the arcade edition soundtrack, HD, RPAC, DRM free copy, because the Steam version is that has got DRM.
Right.
You can actually get the early prototype version, what we were talking about, and then the full pack, which just includes these 4 things. We've got our rich page there. Also on YouTube at DPAD for the win. Blue Sky. We're on X. And just to give these guys a shout out, this is Glyn. He's called The Outlander. These guys, he's done the music for the game. Dives Music, at Dives Music there. He also does all the music for the games as well. And this is just Blue Sky Wolf's Twitch page here, Blue Sky Wolf 09. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was very prepared. Now you've saved me a job there. I don't have to go and put all those details up.
You're fine. Yeah, I just thought I'd prepare that, like, because honestly, without Glyn's music and without Dives's music as well, this game, I think music sets the tone for the game.
Yeah.
For any game, and if you haven't got good music, it's like you know, the game feels a little bit slow, and you know.
Sure. Yeah, for sure. It's definitely sets the background and the atmosphere. And again, as I said, I love the really, really solid retro feel on this one, and the music totally plays into that. It's great. Cool. Well, we are at the end of our time, so I will thank you very much for coming on. It's been a pleasure. And make sure everyone you go and check out Peraglees, I'm not going to say it right again, Ooloufian Resistance. And yeah, it's a great game. And yeah, I hope you all have fun playing it. Thank you very much again. And
thank you, Simon. Cheers for having us on.
You're welcome. Do apologise, my microphone was muted there. So yeah, I'll just start again. I said thank you very much to Dave for that interview. It was a great game, and I really loved the arcade retro feel on that. It's right up my street, so it's, definitely check that out. Next, we're going to show you some trailers from our Reactor examples that we've put up there. We have a Patreon called The Reactor. You can join free, and we've also got some paid tiers. We generate lots of content there for you to download, including engines. You'll see 2 of them coming up here. We also have a Fusion 3 blog there. A lot of people in the chat have been asking about that, and yeah, definitely go there and check that out. So first off, I'm going to have to get this up here because they're French names and I want to try and pronounce them right. So our first engine trailer is for Pétanque engine, and it's I think it's a game that you play in real life, but anyway, you'll watch the trailer and you'll work it out. So that was the Pétanque engine, and that and the next trailer I'm going to show you are both available on our Patreon now. And the second one, excuse me, is Echoes of Gévaudan, I think. I hope I pronounced that right. So here's the trailer for that one. So those two examples are available on our Reactor, along with, as we said, the Fusion 3 blog, and we have several tiers you can join there, including the free one. So make sure to check that out at patreon.com/clickteam. And I'm going to show you a trailer now for a game called The Evil Inside, and this is available for wish listing on Steam right now. Super atmospheric there. I actually used to be in a group called A Coders way back in the day with Danny. He's an amazing coder. He's done some really great work. So make sure to support him. Head on over to Steam and wishlist The Evil Inside. We're going to jump now to our final interview, again from the UK. We're trying to get them out of the way so that people aren't having to stay up too late here. So this is One Summer Holiday, and it's been created by Rob. First met Rob many years ago at a Click convention, and he was working on it way back then. So it's going to be interesting to see the development that he's done in the meantime. He hasn't got a trailer quite ready yet, so we're just going to jump straight into the interview. So we've got Rob here joining me from the UK as well. We're going to be talking about his game One Summer Holiday, and he's going to show some of that gameplay while we talk. So first of all, hi, would you like to introduce yourself? Tell us a bit about yourself.
Yes, my name is Rob. I think I last showed this game off in Click Convention 2013, probably, when about 100 years ago. And it has evolved into this sort of part-time passion project, over the years. And now I am escalating it to full-time work. Have been for the last 3 months. And with a sort of a proposed launch for next year, with crowdfunding coming later this year. That's it, basically.
Awesome.
That's it.
So obviously when we first met back at that Click convention in Luton, was it?
There was the Cambridge one and Luton. I went to 2 of them.
Yeah,
they were incredibly different. Yeah,
yes,
one was in a very
were.
grey hotel, and one was basically in an old English palace of the Cambridge Uni student.
Yeah, that was quite a
the
different
Union
one.
Hall. Yeah, so it was directly opposed, but I liked both. They both had charm.
Yeah, so hopefully something we can do again, maybe for when Fusion 3 launches. But
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Yeah, so tell me about the game. I mean, it's something we saw way back then, and obviously it's developed a lot in that time. So first of all, I mean, what inspired the game? It's quite an interesting concept.
So, yes. So I was essentially, for a long time, I was working out what kind of game I wanted to make, because I've always really enjoyed the live simulator genre. I was a massive Harvest Moon fan, and of course that series has since gone on to inspire Eric's Stardew Valley, which was a modest hit, I think, around the world. A few people play that these days, and so I always had even prior to that being released, I always had an idea that there was enough of an audience for these sort of very these very sort of low stress, communal, usually nature based, but they don't have to be sort of life sim games. There's now the term cozy games, which is, I would say, the blanket term that they fall under now, more modernistically, but that is also a much broader thing. You can also have a roller coaster tycoon as a cozy game because it doesn't have sort of shooting and killing in it or whatever. So I think that is a bit more of a broad term. But yeah, these sort of escapist life sims have always been the one. So when I first showed this off, it's always been a thing to learn Fusion with, really. Just very sort of hobbyist, low level stuff. And I was considering, I wanted it just to be a sort of a natural countryside setting. And then I was looking for things that you might do in that. So fishing, bug collecting, fishing, all that kind of stuff was the focus of it back then. And to a degree, it still is. That's the main gameplay loop. But yeah, I just wanted to make my own life simulator video game, really, and just focus on the atmosphere. So it just a very my priority is to make a sort of a zen escapist world. Which you can potter around at your own pace, crucially. So there isn't a real big time limit constantly nagging away at you. So it's actually a lot more sort of chill, as it were, than something like Stardew or anything you can min-max, I would say. And it's just the games I really love making.
Well, that's always good. I mean, if you've been doing it that long, you'd have to love it to have carried on for quite that long. But
with the caveat, of course, that it's had huge numbers of just gaps. I've gone off and done different jobs and careers, So stuff like that. So I always come back to it.
Well, it's an interesting concept because there's obviously been a lot of talk about how let's call them video games and sound really old, but how they've been a bad negative influence on people with violence and stuff, and there's a whole sort of like meditative field coming out, which is quite interesting to me, and it's it's a cool concept.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely a growing genre of stuff that isn't violence oriented. Although I do think it is. I think it is kind of like romanticized in the press that video games have only ever either killing and violence, or I mean, there's also a fairy solitaire, right? And stuff like that. Yeah, there's always been a wealth and breadth of it going right the way back.
And Pong. So I mean, it's not very
exactly.
violent, is it? So...
No. Well, it depends. It depends who you're playing it with on the same sofa.
Yeah. Obviously, you've been doing this for a long time. So what's been the biggest change since all that way back in when we met 13 years ago? What's really evolved?
Yeah, everything. As I'm sure you probably hope is the case. Everything has evolved because it was a learning piece to learn sort of hobbyist development, which frankly Fusion is just, because I'm more on the art and writing style of things in terms of sort of skill level, but also B, part of the reason why you have a skill in something is because you actually have an interest in that area, right?
Yeah.
So in reality, it's not just that that's where I happened to be better at. It's more that that's where my real love is. Programming is a means to an end, although it's sort of getting its claws in a little bit, but it's not my main sort of focus and passion when I'm directing something like this. So art styles have changed a lot as a result. The most. It went from being very storybook and hand-drawn to retaining that, but becoming more sort of, I mean, actually, I'll tell you what, as I talk, I shall boot it up.
Yeah.
So it used to start off very sketchy, thin, sort of very sort of shaky lines. Everything felt very 2D and things like this. But what I've done since is really learned the sort of value of, let's see if that's going to play up, the value of making it sort of, so I'm just multitasking here, of making it more of a firm world. It's more sort of grounded. I'm just going to quickly plop it on here.
I can definitely see more shading and shadow and depth in the individual objects, and that's a big change.
The buildings are 3D models, obviously imported in, things like that. But just stuff like that. Right, there we go. So it should be able to be seen on screen any moment. There we go. Perfect.
There we go.
Yeah, lovely. All right, beyond that, very. I did, of course, test that about 7 times before I call, but
it's always the way.
Naturally, yeah. So here we go. So this is the world, and I don't know what the frame rate will be like because I think we're burdening it with this call, but it's not too bad. Hopefully,
that's come across pretty well.
Yeah, nice. So it's just a village of 39 characters, and you just sort of have the conceit of the game is that you have about 7 to 14 days, depending on development time, in this world, and you get to potter around and do whatever you want. You can do as little or as much as you like, right? So what's changed is the very definition of the game. It used to be very mini game based, but now they are just they're a completely optional aside. So you can just go around and dig out people's dialogue, or you can not indulge in a single one of the characters' sort of little storylines that do progress over the 2 weeks or so that you are at in this summer vacation. And you can go around and collect, animals and all sorts of stuff. And just sort of potter around, really. There's a lot of things to unearth and dig up, but for the completionists out there, I think it's probably about 9 or 10 hours in it, but you can zoom through it in about 3, I would say. So the biggest thing is the variety of game that's changed and the art style.
I mean, the transparencies in particular are really adding a lot to it compared with what I saw first way back then. And
cool.
Yeah, the depth and layering is really, really good on this. So the buildings, you said they're 3D models. Are they with a cell shader on?
Yeah, I've not used Firefly for this, but they because no cell shading, no. So I just made very brief or very basic SketchUp models to make sure that they had a definite realistic volume. That's about it. And then I just fully drew on top of them. Oh, this is a marketplace I'm messing around with. As you can see, but yeah, there's sort of very sort of like populated areas of the village, and then of course far less populated areas of the village as well.
So what sort of things can you actually do in this world then? Have you got things to collect or things to build?
There are, so you have things to collect. You have little narrative stories to unearth. I have to be careful about spoilers here because they do sort of, because each one is quite different. But yeah, I think it's enough to say that you do have a sort of narratives that you can choose to continue along and or not, of course. And then there's the sort of the collecting and then just the kind of the sightseeing of it. Every single day, there's different mini games and all sorts of things. So every day it's like there's like a different attraction. I'd see it a little bit like a sort of a theme park game where every single in-game day will just have something completely different going on, but only within the framework of you can just be in this world and do very little and just chime in, you know. Because an in-game day is half an hour the minimum if you want it to be, and then you get to go to bed. And so it can just be that if you want. There's nothing stopping the player from having a more sort of relaxed experience with it. But there's a ton to unearth, including I think I'm on about 490 flavor texts just for going up to things and sort of, you know, sort of like seeing them and observing them and stuff like that. So it's a kind of a dig out the details game, I would say.
That's very cool. I think it'd be quite an interesting game for people with neurodivergence. There's a lot here where you could really kind of chill out and just let your mind unwind a bit from the mania of everyday life. It's very cool.
That's right. The escapism is a big element of that. That's for sure. Yeah.
So what one or more things have you enjoyed most about the process of creating this up to this point, if you can even answer that?
So one thing that I really like is just to add to a world, because one of the big benefits, and of course many people using Fusion can't have this, where they have level-based games, so they have to have lots of frames, and then, you know, or level editor, of course, that they make, and then sort of each day they have to work on that, and then when you make a cut scene, and the player has watched that, that's it, it's gone, it's done, you know, it's consumed, as it were. But with this, what I really like about working all in one frame, apart from the building interiors and stuff, is that every time I go to work on it, I add to this one picture. So I think of it sort of like a painting, where I can just go and add another layer, add another detail in there.
Sure.
You know, one day I can put a new type of bird in, like there's a swallow going past there now, or you know, a new sort of detail into someone's garden and things like this. So it's very additive. It's just one canvas, which I think for me has been very, very good. I've liked that a lot. So that's weirdly the most exciting thing, just making a world.
Grown with you as a person, that one, over this long length of time.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I think the longest time I've taken away from it, to be clear, is like 5 years or something. And, you know, it has, and sometimes I've not looked at it I've looked at it once a year, you know, for great stretches of my life. But I've always come back to it. Yeah. And my life has informed the script and also someone in their 30s, I can certainly write characters in their 30s and 40s and 50s better than I could when I started this, which was like 20 something, you know, like 21, I think. So it's nice to be able to kind of like ply in life experience and sort of perspectives and subjects into a world, I would say.
And have you basically stuck with the original coding and thing, or have you had to restart portions? I mean, a lot of people, I hear they've done the game like 5 times over. So
yeah, that's an excellent question. So I have had to. Well, there's a balance there, right? What you do is you go back many years later and you think, oh my God, what was I doing? What was I thinking? Why is this 32 lines of pseudocode rather than 1? You know, so I do have some sort of hilariously archaic little groups in there and things like that. But if they are So I have redone a lot of stuff, but that's a bit of a trap. I think you can do that forever. You know, there's a thing about you having to abandon your babies, right? But the issue is that once you finish your project, it's a bit like writing a book. You want to, if you go back to the beginning, if you're writing it in a linear fashion, then you're going to be objectively, technically better than you were when you started it. And so you will just go around forever, and then it will never be released. And that's not the job of something you're making for other people. I am making this for myself first off, but I have an audience in mind. I have people in mind. I have this is a communication to other humans, I guess. So I am being, and maybe it's because programming isn't my primary passion. It's kind of okay for me to accept to leave some of the shoddier stuff in there, at least for now, until I work out, I mean, I've got 2.5 plus, so the profiler is very useful in finding out what is really unnecessarily straining my game and what isn't. So yeah, that's helped me just be like, okay, it just works. I don't want to go back and look at this 13-year-old one group. It works fine. I'm best served not refining every single thing, I would say. Yeah.
And as I always say, I mean, when I was taught to program, you always taught create your code and your base engine and just work with, little placeholder graphics and stuff, and don't put too much effort in until you've actually got it right. And the beauty of Fusion is that you can do it completely flipped on its head and make something look wonderful and then make it do stuff.
Okay, I'm really glad you said that, because that is what when I talk about Fusion in the dev communities that I go to in real life here in Bristol, in the UK, and also just through discourse and people more far away, that is exactly what I say. I completely agree. I think it is an artist's tool, and it's the most powerful prototyper, because there's nothing more motivating than have something looking good. Placeholders where everything looks like Thomas Was Alone, a fantastic game, by the way, with a really intentional art style, but where it's just like you're just using rectangles and triangles. I don't find that motivating. I think it legitimizes it to have, and make it placeholder, fine, a title screen and inventory that works and things like that. Do you know what I mean? So I completely agree with that. It does flip it on its head, which is really meaningful, I would say.
Yeah,
it's a massive thing.
It's a massive gateway into this sort of thing for people who don't have that, maybe the brain for typing in lines and lines and lines of code, which of course you're doing in Fusion, but
you do.
It magics it into nice statements, and you don't have to worry about the technicality.
For sure.
Of it all.
I agree. I think what it does most valuable, well, maybe not most valuably, but certainly a value, is that it doesn't trick you necessarily, but it does get into programming, but it does give you an idea of the language of programming. And then you can either go on to do other stuff or not as you wish. But it does inform you. I've been able to look at languages outside of Fusion and also have conversations with programmers in an area of their expertise where I'm an absolutely layperson, and it works because of my experience with the event editor. So yeah, agreed. Basically, agreed.
It's kind of like putting grated carrots in your cheese that you give to your kids to trick them. It kind of gets you eating something healthy while you're not really realizing it's doing it. So
that's relatable, but an incredibly specific.
It is
story. Yeah. I hope there's nothing too
happened to me.
I was going to say, yeah. Exactly. Okay. Also, yeah, exactly. Oh, okay. We've got a cutscene happening here. Oh, this is the end of the day. I have a dev limiter on that, but the furthest away that you are, the faster the camera pans. So it actually does the same time. But yeah, there we go. So we're turning faster. But I think I will tweak that. It's just have to get the acceleration going, so it's not too violent. While this is on, actually, if I can talk about, because this is relevant to the game's motivations, I want to talk about details just briefly, if I can, of this game, because sort of making details is the real joy of it, right? Like these little worlds and things like that. But also, I have made a dialogue system that I'm rather happy with, in that I've always had a problem. Because the narrative is important, and it's not voiced at all. So I've always had a problem with text blitting, which is obviously, for those that don't know, the old JRPG Pokemon style, where it's letter by letter, or it comes up in full paragraphs, which lack a pace. So I've formulated this, and I've not seen this anywhere else. And when I've demoed it, I haven't heard of it anywhere else. I'm sure there'll be variations, but not seen it. But what I've done here is I've basically got pauses and stanzas in dialogue. So what I mean by that is, upon the press of each continuation button, I've got a new like full sentence or block coming up. So it appears as fast as you can read it. But also what I can do is attribute different portrait values to each sentence. So you notice her face changes upon each like button press or whatever. Bristol Indy, that's the current name of the character, just because I took it to an independent video game demonstration the other day. So it's so what happens is this will just sort of like slowly iterate through, and you can also cause and create pace amongst different NPCs with this. So by making these sort of line breaks or pauses, you can have some people speak at great volume, sort of, almost too much, as I might know. Or you can have other characters which sort of speak very clipped, in a very clipped nature. Okay. So they'll have a kind of a brief, sort of quite curt style of speaking, and that will be communicated half in what they're saying and also the portrait that you draw for them, but also in the actual pace and rhythm of their personal speaking. So with these characters, it's quite nice. You can just sort of create like I say, you can just sort of create a dialogue system that is actually readable. Yeah. Rather than waiting or just impatiently hammering A or B so the whole paragraph turns up and then you have to reread it again to kind of put your own authorship pace on, as we do when we're reading a book. So so I'm happy with this. But there's tons of little details like this in this game that I hope convey a sort of a little rich world of like treasures to sort of dig up, as it were.
And is this system something you can easily translate to other languages then?
Other languages? Yes, absolutely. So I've basically, so I'll restart it because it's the end of the day. Yes, it is, at least all Romanic ones. So I need to work on like how that would work, but I've basically made exterior systems, exterior apps, because of course Fusion's great for that, as you probably know. That you can just make your own little kind of Windows apps. So I've got external dialogue things that export to. So all of this is running under the English folder, but I can give that to someone and they can translate. And I've made a second window so they can actually put their language into it next to the English one. But that's for the future. That's sort of behind the scenes a little bit, essentially.
That's very cool. That's obviously a big thing you've built for this game. Are there interesting challenges that you've overcome? Features you're particularly proud of?
So, every week there's a new horrible challenge where something is broken or whatever else. I think the biggest challenge has been just know one's limits and what time you have for something that's very part-time and hobbyist. So, for example, very secretly, this has a whole farming system in. So this, you notice my avatar's changed. This is like a full-on farming sim that works. It completely works. But none of this is in One Summer Holiday, for context. So this is still here for if One Summer Holiday does well enough, then I'm going to like go full force on this game, which will be called Evergreen. But I had to use all these. I had to scope something down essentially to make it work and decide what to sacrifice and what not to. Otherwise, it'd be like 2030 probably. Which is just too much. But this full world is completely. So One Summer Holiday is, as you can probably guess from the. And for those people who aren't from Britain, holiday in this context means vacation in American and English around the world. And so, this is just a snippet of, like I say, a week and a half probably of you as a child with your own changeable avatar, of course, as well. So you get a full customization at the beginning, which I've done. And this will just be a snippet of the daytime summer. But also, if we look behind the engine a little bit on this, I have actually got all the seasons working. So his autumn, his winter. Now, naturally, as anyone knows who uses Fusion, when you start a frame, things get spawned. So there's a lot of existing like spring and summer, like there's daffodils in winter and stuff, which would not happen.
Right.
But I've made a much more wide world. See, I'm completely broken the seasons now, but that's great. Than you will experience in one summer holiday.
Sure.
And so, yeah, the biggest challenge is just being sort of cutting it into a first introduction to this world.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So from a full life simulator to a live a slice of life, I would say. Very
cool. And obviously a lot of scope for future development with that.
Indeed. Well, that is the full intention. Yeah. So this is going to be, this is fully so I can sort of enter development full time if people choose to, sort of buy it and support it. And that will help inform whether I can make the next game, which is the full life simulator Evergreen, of which a huge amount is done under the hood. But I'm talking less about that. This preview that I've just given you there is more than most people will ever see, because it's not about Evergreen. Do you know what I mean? It's important that you do show, the game that you're actually making. Because I fully, if 10 people buy this and love it and play it, I'll be happy, frankly. It does mean that Evergreen is very unlikely, but this in itself is worth it. I just think I'm very, very happy with this idea of making an episodic game within this wider world, which I can offer other games in.
Sure.
Basically.
I think people are going to like this one. I mean, it's got a lot of
thanks.
Very, very rich thematics in there, and it's obviously got a lot of depth, and I can't wait to have a play myself and start uncovering. But
well, I'm sure you'll get an early. I'm sure you'll get an early build, Simon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's a really, really beautiful game. It's the sort of thing that people are moving towards. I mean, life's just too nuts these days. There's too much going on, and just to be able to chill out in a game, it's definitely
Sure.
Yeah, interesting.
Although these days is probably just a product of our age, right? It's just we've lived long enough to realize how rotten the thing is. I'm not sure the 1800s when we couldn't read and we and we had 2 teeth left was particularly fantastic either. But
no.
Yeah, I agree. We have these opportunities for like virtual escapism, as we always have with like literature and things like this. I think it's it's really nice that cozy games are sort of gaining prominence because of that. And they've gone from being a sort of a niche audience that's always been very passionate back in the early days of the internet, I remember, to a wider appreciation. I think it's fantastic. I think it is. Yeah.
Very happy with it. A lot of people, I've been in the community myself since I was at school. I'm not going to say how many years ago at this point, but
12 years ago.
Yeah, 12 years. A lot of people start games and have a lot of passion at the start, and then obviously find that sort of ebbs away. You've obviously kept going a long time. What would be your advice to help people keep motivated?
Tough
one.
It is a tough one because yes, I do have the challenge, the fun challenge of ADHD, which means motivation can be an extra level of difficulty, but they're no more than anyone else, I'm sure. But I would say the biggest thing to keep motivated for me that's worked is that ultimately you have the freedom to do it or not. So you always have because you always have that freedom, you get to ask yourself whether you really want to. And it's absolutely fine. It's absolutely fine if you learn a lesson from, let's say you work on a project in Fusion or something, or on page or something, on paper rather. That can be enough. That particular project. I do believe that if you have something that you have a burning passion to make, it's always going to be hard work at points. But I do think that you will know its value innately. I think that to stay motivated is to sort of believe in the project and don't be afraid to have breaks sometimes. Yeah. Because I've got to points where I have hated it. I've hated the game, and that's a natural consequence of making something. I've not really heard many developers not say that the website or the application or the game that they're making, there isn't a time where they despise it or it's incredibly hard work. You know, you'll have your
you get to a point
various
where you're just sick
honeymoon
of looking at the thing, don't you?
Of course, yeah, I agree. And also because some of it is just like by rote, quite tedious work. There's always going to be areas that you don't love the most. You might love programming and the art is kind of this annoying bit. I need to get these animations done before I can complete this game system. So I do believe in the power of not, for something that's hobbyist, in burning yourself out on it. Because then I think the reaction in one's mind is usually you end up hating the thing, and sometimes I've seen people walk away from years and years of work because they've put a burden of time on it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's like, oh well, I've spent this much time, but in that time you've learned how to do so much in a tool that is still here today. So I think that when you take those pressures off yourself, ironically, it makes it easier to stick to these long projects. Yeah. So it's actually in support of sticking with them. As I'm saying, oh, don't be afraid to give up. But that freedom that you have to give up, even if you've talked about it with every friend and family member in the world, you know what I mean? And giving yourself grand promises or promise yourself something in the past, I think you have the freedom to be flexible. And so it's yours. It's up to you. And it's great that you've done this much work, and probably you can do a little bit more if you want to, and probably you will want to. So, yeah. Stay motivated by not putting undue pressure on yourself, because it's all just for fun.
Good advice. Thank you. Well, we'll leave it there. Our time is just coming to an end, but thank you very much for joining the stream. And
thank you.
Hoping we'll be talking again soon on a podcast project. More about that maybe next month. But yeah, it's been fantastic.
Oh, yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, thank you so much for talking with me about it. I do appreciate it. Yeah, I love you just dropping in that little tease there. Yeah. Wonderful. Yeah. So Fusion 3's out tomorrow, is what you're saying on the podcast, right? Understood. Yeah, indeed. Right.
However, we're hoping maybe in a couple of months to have some of the developers on talking about that. Still firming up schedules, but yeah.
Yeah, sure. All right. Well, I wanna see Anders again. Come on, it's gonna be wonderful. I haven't met him since 2014, I think. Lovely guy. Lovely guy. Yes, indeed. Right. Okay. Well, thank you for having me, and I will see you soon.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you again, Rob. That was very interesting. It's amazing to see such a long-term project still going, and the difference there. It's quite dramatic. It's really nice to see the improvements there. Going to just talk again about our Click Team professional services. For anyone who didn't hear it at the start of the stream, we have an internal team at Click Team, and we can work with your projects, be it porting to consoles or even just maybe Android or iOS. We can work with your game perhaps to improve graphics from an older version and upscale things. Lots and lots of options help you get your games published. We have a dedicated special runtime that we work with in the back offices, and it allows us to do really performant work, getting very, very good console and Switch games, really good smooth movement and everything. And of course our team are very, very skilled at tweaking and bug fixing and profiling to make sure that everything's running as smoothly as possible. So I'm just going to play the trailer I played earlier again, so you can have a bit of a look at some of the games that we've been working with and publishing, and I'll tell you more about how to get in touch if you're interested afterwards. So you saw the web address there on our main website, or if you'd like to get in touch and ask about how we can work with you to bring your game to other platforms, or to refactor the graphics, or even port to consoles such as Switch, then go to service.clickteam.com and open a ticket and choose the ClickTeam Professional Services option, and somebody will get back to you as soon as possible. Right, so for our final feature today, I'm going to attempt to make a Pac-Man game live, and wish me luck. You just get Fusion up there. Okay, so I've made a rough level here with some assets in. I'm just going to carry on putting these items out for collection. So if anyone hasn't played Pac-Man, I can't imagine that's even possible, but you go around, you eat the pink dots, avoid ghosts, and when you eat these orange ones, it gives you superpower, and you can go around and eat up the ghosts, and they don't kill you if you touch them. So this should be a nice simple game, and I should have done all of this beforehand, but I thought I'd just finish this little last bit off just so that you could see how exactly it was made up. We've got some gaps at the side here, and those will act as portals, so if the Pac-Man character goes out that way or that way, then they'll flip over to the other side of the arena. And I think that covers them all. Maybe let's put a power-up pill in one of those holes there as well. Let's just fill in that row there too. So the aim is to get rid of all of the dots, and then you've completed the level. I'll just do one level in this game. And so I'm going to make another layer above here, and I'm going to put a counter on that so that it sits above the play area. Sorry about that ding, I thought I'd turn those off. Right, so I'm going to import a font here. If I can remember how to do that, there we are. No, not that one. Actually, let's use this as a text object. We'll do it that way, because I have actually forgotten how to do that. So we'll set the font. I'll use our, not the Star Wars one there. I'll use our special ClickTeam font there. Actually, do you know what? I'm going to use the terminal font, and I'm going to make it extra big so that it looks a bit more retro, and make that white up there. Okay, and because that's in a layer here on its own, it will float above everything else. Not quite sure I want to put that, so maybe I'll make that, I'll deal with that later, just up there for the moment. So I've got a character here. Obviously we can't use Pac-Man, so this is Clickman. I'm all about the click puns. So this is just a simple animation, and I've not filled in the other animation directions. I'm going to let Fusion do that with this option here under, nope, where are we? There we are, sorry. Under the runtime options tab for the object and automatic rotations, so that makes it nice and easy. I'm going to give Pac-Man a manual movement for this. I'm not going to use one of the built-in ones. Yeah. So I'm going to use simple controls, and I'm going to detect and set a global value here. So we'll set the direction to, let's have, actually I'm going to use a string because that'll be a bit easier to see what's going on there. So put an L, if you press left, and so on and so forth, R, and up and down, So that will allow us to get the direction that we want the player to move the character in. Then I'll make another group here. Don't have to use groups, of course. I just like to do it because it keeps it nice and easy to see what's going on. You can collapse them and just makes things nice and easy. So we don't need to look at these now, for example. So those of you can collapse that out there. So I'm going to do a test. Then we'll compare a string. So first of all, we'll do right. Let's give these strings some names. So call this pack direction. And I'm also going to make what should we call it? Movement delay. And I'm going to set that to 10, and you'll see what that's for here. So I'm going to add in a timer check using the timer object. So I'm going to say every, and use a calculation and retrieve that. So movement delay. That means that when I recreate the other conditions here to handle the other directions, I won't have to enter a new timer thing each time. If I want to change it, I can change it here, and it will be automatically picked up by using the expression here on the timer. So every timer delay, and it's equal to right, we want to change the position of this. So we're going to do test, retrieve its position, set its coordinate to, and x coordinate minus, and I'm going to use another global value, which I'll name in a second. And what that will do is set the number of pixels that I want him to move. So I'll try 5 for a starter. And I also want to do a test to see if Pac-Man is colliding with one of the wall objects. So I'll do it in a way that a lot of people do, actually. I shall put some detector blocks around Pac-Man. So the blocks here are 45 pixels square. So just create another one of those. And I'll fill that one in orange, why not, my favourite colour. And I'm just going to set the coordinates there. So, oh, wrong size. 32, how did I do that? That's better. And just the hotspot back to the top there. Interesting tip, it's on our quick tips in our Discord chat, actually. If you've got lots and lots of frames and you need to set the hotspot or the action point on them, if you hold down the Alt key while you're moving this around, it doesn't work with these buttons or up here, but while you're dragging, you can do that, and it will set the hotspot to the same position on all of the frames in that direction for that animation, which can save a lot of time. So I'm going to call this detector up, and I'm going to clone this 4 times. So 4 rows. So I'm going to rename that one to detector down, that one to detector left, and oops, no, that's me, detector right. So we're going to use these, and I'm going to position them around Pac-Man object here, sorry, Clickman, at all times, and it will enable us to detect whether the detector block is over a wall. And I'll show you how I'll do that. So First of all, I'm going to just set up a condition, sorry, an event there to always set those objects in relation to the player. So I'm going to, can I do that here? Yeah, relative to this. So we want minus, which one is this actually? Up. No, so we want minus 45 on the y-axis to make it go above here. Oh, you can see it's there's one up here, so it's showing you it there. I think actually because that object isn't actually 45 pixels wide, that looks a little off, but I'll tweak it if necessary. It looks all right for now. I have, however, set the wrong object there, so I'll have to redo that. So replace, and we want to up position, select position, relative to the player object, minus 45. And we then want to add another one for down position, same again, but this time be positive 45 to make it go below, and the same for left and right. So left relative to player, and this one will be minus 45, and finally the right position 45 positive, and that will place it, oops, to the right. So hopefully if I run that now, okay. Well, I'll tell you what I have done. I have made these objects not visible at start. So let me just change that. Nope, it's not visible at start. Not create at start. Just turn all of those on. Not the ghosts, because we're going to spawn those here. The dots and the pills, however, we will as well. And of course the player object. That's always going to start here, so I'll just place that one manually. I'll actually get rid of that one there. So hopefully if I run this now, it will, there we go. So the, something funky is going on there. I think this might be a DPI scaling issue with Windows. I'm not sure how to get around that one. Bear with me a second. This will test my live problem solving skills. Oops, that was the right one. Perhaps if I set the runtime, set in this folder. Might be able to manually set the DPI on this. See if that works. Okay, I'm going to have to change my DPI scaling in Windows. Just bear with me a moment. Sorry about this. Nope, that was not it. Here we are. Scale 100%. Okay, that's not going to work. Unfortunately, that kind of means I'm not going to be able to complete this demo, I'm afraid. Because I can't get that to look like it's looking in Fusion. Sorry about this. I did test this earlier and it didn't happen because I was in a higher resolution desktop there. So apologies. I'll have to come back to this next time because without logging out, which will end the stream, I'm not going to be able to fix that one. So with apologies, we will hold it there for this time, and I'll be back on the third Friday of each month. So next month we will be, where are we? June the 20th, and same time, so that's 7 p.m. GMT, 8 p.m. London, and I forget the other times, 5 a.m. in Australia tomorrow. So I hope you join us then. And in the meantime here, I'll just play the Fusion 2.5 trailer one more time and then sign out. Thank you very much for joining us, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.